I'm booking a private jet to Tuscany.
You thought of me? Huh?
I really need to get there fast.
Who the fuck you think you're talking to?
Shut up, little boy. I'm talking to Fredo. Un poco di rispetto.
Fredo.
Sorry, Al. There was someone disturbing us. So I was telling you about Airwolf Jet Services. They're friends of ours. The best. Amazing service. You should check them out now. www.airwolfjetservices.com.
A sport that bridges generations. Live everywhere. Fight gives you instant access to live pay-per-view and free combat sports programs. Check out our combat sports schedule at fight.tv. Fight. Start watching.
Well, welcome one, welcome all to V3 Fights.
This is exciting. The house is packed.
Well, here we go.
Knockout!
Oh! Pretty electric, man. People are on their feet.
This is your main event. Wow. Let me hear you make some noise.
Here we go.
Nice takedown. Oh, wow.
Now he's in a full mount. He's raining down elbows. Let's see if they touch gloves. Look at that. Just a nice takedown.
Trying to finish here, right over.
Ladies and gentlemen, declaring your winner and staying undefeated.
Everyone here just got to witness V3 history.
This is Chris Allen of the MMA Fight Bible and John Boy McElroy of Martial Arts Chat Podcast with your weekly MMA Power Hour news update. In the MMA news this week, an Edinburgh-based MMA gym is causing quite an argument online after a recent online poll/offer. Promethean MMA in the UK posted on their Facebook calling all females. We would like to get more females into the realms of martial arts and have thought of running a female-only beginner program. Would you be interested in a 10-week program? Could be MMA, grappling or striking. You receive free training too. Please enter the poll, and if you clicked interested, reply with what type of art you'd like us to run. This has sparked fury from some claiming that the term female is misogynistic. Some have commented saying, if you want women to be interested, call them women, not females. Further investigation on this supposed outrage, though, is that the vast majority of these comments come from people other side of the world. They have no interest in martial arts, very preachy and virtue signalling. One person going by the name of Burgess Tolliver, a self-employed homecoming king/queen, according to Facebook, called for the MMA gym page to be taken down and ordering that using correct terminology in future makes better business sense. I myself only hear good things about Promethean MMA with a good mix of BJJ, wrestling, striking and strength and conditioning. And if you're in the Lothian area, go check these good guys and girls out. Males and females, get yourselves on the mats. Yo Romero got paid. Back in 2016, Romero failed an out-of-competition USADA drug test for a banned substance. I'm not even going to attempt how to pronounce it, but Romero denied knowingly ingesting the banned substance and arguing that it came from a tainted supplement. Fishy at the time, we heard the old tainted supplement thing with John Jones. USADA tested the supplement Romero took and found that it was indeed present despite not being listed on the label. And as a result, Romero was given a reduced sentence, if you like, a reduced ban, 6 months in fact, from USADA. That was not what Romero wanted, though. After having his otherwise immaculate record tarnished as an Olympic wrestler, Romero has been drug tested arguably longer than any other competitor in the UFC. Soldier of God was after a reckoning with the company that not only tainted their supplement, but also tainted his good name. And now it appears he's gotten it. As first reported yesterday by ESPN, Romero won a lawsuit against Gold Star Performance Products in Middlesex, New Jersey. Romero filed the lawsuit in December of 2017, and as Gold Star have never responded, Romero won by default. Romero's manager, Abi Kawat, has said that the judgment was for, check it out, $27.45 million. He said, I'm very happy. Why would it not be? It's not about the money. I'm very happy now that everything is clean and clear. You cannot live very well when you hear and you see when you post something on social media, people reply, soldier of steroids. You cannot sleep very well. It's very emotional and important too, because I know I've never taken anything in my life. Romero last competed at UFC 225 in June of last year against Robert Whittaker in a would-be title fight. However, Romero did miss weight. He lost a very contentious split decision, wrong decision in my opinion for what it's worth. He is now set to face Paulo Costa at UFC 241 on August the 17th in California.
Another big name has made its return back to the UFC, and it's the ever so popular Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber is making his return back to the UFC, and he really feels his timing is impeccable at coming back. At 40 years old, Uriah Faber really thinks he can still do it. Well, I'm sure he knows he can still do it, and he's very, very capable of becoming number one contender again. We last saw Uriah Faber near on 3 years ago now. It was December 2017, where he defeated British man Brad Pickett, now retired by unanimous decision. So who have they put against Uriah Faber now? So they found the perfect opponent for him in Ricky Simon. Ricky Simon is the former Legacy Fighting Alliance bantamweight champion, and he had a stint as well on Dana White's The Contender Series. Now back in the UFC, he's on a 3-0 run, winning all of his fights against top opposition with names such as Rani Yahya and Montel Jackson. So a lot of people thinking as maybe Uriah coming back, maybe he should have retired, or should he stay out of the game? Like, you've seen a few fighters come back and unfortunately hasn't worked out for them. But I think Uriah Faber has got his head screwed on. He's been constantly training at Team Alpha Male with some of the top contenders and best training partners in the game. I'm sure Uriah Faber will be more than ever ready to take on a challenge again, to once again become a multi-title challenger, and this time hopefully win that title. Also in the news, there's been a few cuts made in the UFC recently, and one surprising quite a few people is cut of UFC contender Elias Theodorou. Don't get me wrong, he did come off his last fight losing by unanimous decision, and he was dancing a bit around the cage, which Dana White, as we know, doesn't really appreciate. He wants people who are going to fight and not sort of step back all the time. But at the end of the day, he was a contender. He was 8-3 in the UFC, if I remember rightly, 16-3 overall, so he was definitely a contender in this division, and him being cut at the moment is a bit confusing really in most people's eyes. And also a few other fighters that were cut from the UFC, such as were Wilson Reyes, Marcelo Golm and Eric Shelton. You know, Theodorou was doing quite well in the UFC. He started off, he was the winner of the Ultimate Fighter Nations, won his first 3 fights, then he unfortunately lost to a unanimous decision to, Thiago Santos, one of the top contenders at the moment in the light heavyweight division. And out of his next, 6-7 fights, he would win 5 of them, but unfortunately he did lose his most recent bout to Derek Brunson by unanimous decision. So it's a shame to see him go, and I'm sure he'll be picked up by another organisation more than likely, as I'm sure he's got a lot left to prove. He really wants to show what he can do, and and potentially be one of the big names in the sport. So let's see what happens here and keep an eye out for that name. We had some great news in the UK market recently, knowing that another one of our fighters, a top prospect, is making the step into the UFC. Current bantamweight champion Jack Shaw from Cage Warriors has put pen to paper and has signed with the UFC. Some of the people listening who might not know who Jack Shaw is is undefeated in all of his fights, from all the way from amateur going all the way up to pro. Currently a pro, is 11-0, and definitely worth YouTubing this guy, as you will never see a dull fight come from Mr. Shaw. So, who's going to be his first opponent? Are they going to put him in there at the deep end, or are they going to put him in maybe one of the lower ranked people first of all? It's yet to see, but I think it's best to chuck him in the deep end, showing the skills he's been putting on as Cage Warriors, and very, very deservedly of this. Shaw did say, and I quote, "It's been a long time coming and all the hard work has paid off. I'm grateful for the opportunity and I can't wait to show that I can hang with the best guys in the world. Thanks to my family, friends, sponsors, coaches and teammates at Tillery Combat and my manager Graham Boylan." See, there's been a few other fighters come out of Cage Warriors as well, which have done very well in the UFC. Just to name a few: Conor McGregor, big name in the UFC as we all know. He came from Cage Warriors. He was actually a champ there as well as he was in the UFC. Michael Bisping, Gegard Mousasi, Jack Marshman, Martin Kampman, Dan Hardy, and many more. There's been some many former Cage Warriors champions that have come over to the UFC, and Jack Shaw will be looking to follow in these guys' footsteps to make his mark on this journey he's making. And I'm sure all will be thinking in his eyes is, where is that bantamweight title? No fight has been announced as such, but keep a lookout because you'll be seeing his name soon.
The refs have called it. This is Chris Allen and John McElroy with your weekly MMA Power Hour news update. Coming up next is another knockout episode of the MMA Power Hour with Colin and Adam. Until next time, we're tapping out.
Can you feel the power? This is the MMA Power Hour. If I could fix my chair. Seems like the last few weeks you guys are catching me by surprise somewhat. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm so glad you all are here. We've got an amazing show, so jump on in here. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Let me bring in my fantastic co-host and co-producer, Lion Fist Adam Rorda. Dr. Adam Rorda. How you doing, brother? Jump on in here. You look fantastic, as you always do. It's so good to see you. You're rocking my gear. I thank you for that. And what's going on? How are you feeling?
I'm doing well, doing really well today. Just a little thrown off by the fact that I have you over here on the side. I'm gonna fix that here in a second.
Let me see. Yeah, it looks like I'm.
I won't be able to do it while I'm on the screen.
No problem. That's all right.
So I'm gonna put you back on the screen here.
All right.
Why don't you let the boys and girls know about a little bit of how our show today is going to be rolled out. First off, I want to say real quick thank you to John McElroy and Chris Allen for the amazing job that they always do with the weekly news update with everything that's happened over the last week. You guys are awesome. Make sure everybody to go check them out at MMA Fight Bible on Facebook, and then also Mixed Martial Arts. It's Martial Arts Chat Podcast.
Yeah, that's John's Martial Arts Chat Podcast.
So get on over there, check those guys out. If you want to go back and listen or rewatch the episode, you can see the information up on the screen. And then also, real quick, why don't you give a thanks to our sponsors, Colin?
Absolutely. Before, and also, if you want, Doc, I can move my chair that way.
No, you can't.
No, I can't? Okay,
nope.
We can't. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, since we're back here, the Doc will fix it here. There we go. Definitely want to thank our sponsors. I think that's what his request was. Right now, we have below the screen my company, Cross Train MMA Fighter. Thank you to my company. We're providing great shirts. Dr. Adam Rorda's sponsor is sporting one right now. I usually do, but I'm wearing a dark polo shirt right now, as I guess is clear. But anyway, you guys want to jump in and support, check out the shirts. They are awesome and they're selling fast. Also, DigiSouth, that great SEO and marketing company, fantastic, one of the hottest new companies out there. Dr. Adam Rorda, one of the partners in that, and so DigiSouth, and don't forget to look them up at digisouth.co. Is that right, Doc?
Yes.
Yep. And then we are talking about none other than combatpress.com. Rob Tatum, the man with the beard. We're going to have him back on this show soon. The man's one of the big shots at Combat Press, which has been around for, I think, 6 or 7 years now, and also an editor over at Invictus. So Rob Tatum, big respect to you and what you guys do over at Combat Press. Warfighter Hemp, you guys remember that's a company that has been thoroughly researched and vetted by independent sources, as well as us having checked into them, and they are a great company. Check them out, Warfighter Hemp, for your great CBD, hemp, and medical marijuana cannabis products. Is it? I guess it's cannabis now. No one's really wanting to say medical marijuana anymore. Maybe they are. I don't know with them.
Well, I mean, we're in California ourselves, and it doesn't matter if it's medicinal or not. You can just smoke it, you can eat it, you can do whatever you want with it here.
That's true.
Except for grow massive amounts to where the feds break down your door. But.
Exactly. Now let me ask you, Doc, back when I was your age or younger, way before there was legal cannabis, there was all kinds of people in different parks selling weed. Now, have the fact that people can just walk into a dispensary now, has that eliminated absolutely all of those guys, or do you think they're still out there trying to drum up business?
I know some of them are still trying to drum up business, kind of.
How can they do it? Yeah,
they're trying to, but I mean, in this city, you know as well as I, all the crazy things that happen.
Yeah,
just you don't expect it 90% of the time, but
what would they have to do? They'd have to sell it virtually at like a 10-cent profit per ounce or whatever. Anyway, I'm not the drug guy, but for benefits of cannabis, absolutely all for that, and CBD. Anyway, what we're going to do, we've got a great show for you. Big thanks and respect to our friends in the UK, as Dr. Adam Rorta already threw out there. John McElroy from Scotland, love the Scots, and Chris Allen from London, England, love the English, the British, great people from the UK. Big respect to both of you gents, and thank you so much, mates, for your great contribution. I really always appreciate it, and our whole staff does. So we have an interesting format here. We are going to have our update from the man himself in Asia, based in Thailand, Dana Bluen, coming up in about 20 minutes or 25 minutes, something, give or take 30 minutes maybe. And then we're going to have our three guests actually in this case, right after Dana Bluen. But what we're going to do right now is do some in-detailed breakdown of the next two UFC fights. And I know we usually do that, but a lot of our show is based on interviews and talking to the fighters and coaches and trainers and all kinds of different people. So a lot of times we just kind of pepper in some breakdown or some pros picks of a few fights here and there. What we're going to do now is we're going to throw down and throw out a lot of information and a lot of analysis and predictions of these next two UFC cards coming up tomorrow from Stockholm, Sweden, and then the big one, UFC 238, I think in Vegas. I forget where the hell it is, but everyone knows which one that is. That's the one with the title fights, Mariah Cejudo and Bullet Valentina Shevchenko against Jessica Evil Eye. So let's start with tomorrow. Dr. Adam Rorta, we are going to be talking about the card in Sweden, June 1st, tomorrow. Alexander Gustafsson. Right now, the odds on a couple of the places that I look have him minus 305. And Anthony Lionheart-Smith, the comeback, plus 235. For those who don't know those type of betting odds, it's kind of like 3.5 to 1 or 2 3/4 to 1 or something. Anyway, not huge, but a fairly substantial favorite for Gustafsson. I guess Gus is in his backyard, so no jet lag, although I believe he's been training a lot in the USA, but perhaps to avoid jet lag, maybe he's had this camp in Sweden. It would make sense, wouldn't it? And so there's that, and the fact that he is the more experienced fighter. He is a great fighter. Both of their last fights were against the same opponent, and that's John Jones. Alexander Gustafsson kind of doing all right there for a round, and then once the takedown happened, Jones was able to put him away in fairly quick succession. Anthony Lionheart-Smith against Jones, that was the fight after that. And Lionheart-Smith was doing again okay against John Jones, got caught with an illegal knee on the ground, manned up and was able to continue, and probably was seeing stars, and then lasted a longer, I believe the distance with John Jones. It was. Yep. So based off of that, if you do the MMA math, you could say essentially that Lionheart-Smith lasted a lot longer than Alex the Mauler Gustafsson. Henceforth, he would be favored, right? Wrong. So it's the opposite. For whatever reason, Alexander Gustafsson is the fairly substantial favorite. Dr. Adam Rhoda, I'm curious to hear what your opinion on that is. I think that Lionheart has a very good chance. You know what? Before I ask you,
I don't just think he has a very good chance. It's like I was saying last week, and I think the week before, I was calling it in favor of Smith. I have trouble seeing him not being able to take Gustafsson. It's for reasons you said, but many other as well. Yeah, I think he's just a better all-around fighter, in my own opinion.
Less mileage on him, right? Younger, fresher fighter. Yeah. You know, though, I think a lot of people are thinking that if it goes to the decision, how is he going to get the decision in Sweden? You know what? There's our executive Moo. Moo, I have to ask you off camera, who wins, Alexander Gustafsson or Anthony Lionheart Smith tomorrow in Sweden?
Oh, I think the latter.
He goes Anthony Lionheart Smith. Thank you, Moo. So we're all in. We are all together here. All three of us have Anthony Lionheart Smith, and so yeah. You know what? What I was saying though, Doc, is that in Sweden, if it comes down to being a close fight, not that there's hometown decisions everywhere. I talked to a buddy of mine who's a big MMA fan the other day, and he said, no, I don't believe hometown decisions exist at all. I disagree strongly with that. They shouldn't exist, but they do. I think what a lot of people are thinking is that if it's any kind of a close fight, and if it sees the final bell, how are they in Sweden not going to give it to Alex Gustafsson? That may be what's skewing the odds a little bit. I don't know. It's not one that I feel super strongly on, but I do think that Smith is a live dog and could very well win. Screw it. I'm going to throw it out there. I got Lionheart Smith in the upset, as I know you do. Okay, next fight tomorrow. We have let's do the Swedes first. We have another Swede, Ilir Latifi, the Albanian who grew up in Sweden and represents Sweden as well as his original country of origin, Albania. But man, Ilir Latifi in that fight against Corey Anderson. Corey looked great, or Latifi looked like crap, or both. But before that, Latifi was looking great, and he is in his home turf here against Volkan Oezdemir. Both of them, I believe, have 3 losses in the UFC, but all 6 of those combined losses have been to top 10 guys. Literally, if Latifi loses and if Oezdemir loses, it's to someone that's seriously a badass or champion. Height advantage of about 4 inches, I think, to Oezdemir. He's got that power now. He's got the reach. I don't know though. I like Latifi on his home turf. Ilir Latifi, my opinion. And the odds there, we have even. Ilir Latifi is even, and Volkan Oezdemir minus 130. Slight favorite for Oezdemir, the Swiss fighter. I
was just going to put Oezdemir, in my own opinion, at a higher. I really think this one's not going to be easy, but it's going to be easy for Oezdemir.
So you think he could be even a little bit bigger favorite? Okay.
Yep.
Could be, maybe. I mean, they both want and need a win, and I think it's possibly even Oezdemir more, but I don't know. I think in Sweden, also possibly avoiding the jet lag, this might be for the tank of a fighter who is like the Mike Tyson with wrestling and punching the Albanian Swede Latifi, and you have Oezdemir. Okay, going to the next Swedish fighter. We've got Daniel Tamer. This is an interesting one I was talking to a friend about. Daniel Tamer's brother, David Tamer, is lighting it up. He's 6-1, I think, in the UFC, having just lost to Charles Oliveira by sub, which is no shame in that. But Daniel Tamer is 0-3. And a lot of people have been ripping on him for how crazy and intense he is or was in a couple of the weigh-ins and then the face-offs. He's in Sweden, his home country. And in fact, the Tamers are from Stockholm, so he's in his home city, in his home country. He is actually a slight dog at plus 120 to a Korean fighter, Sung Bin Jo. A lot of tough Korean fighters, very tough guys. I've got some Korean friends I've had for many years. Very, very strong, very smart fighters. So Joe is minus 150. I'm gonna go for Daniel Tamer on his home turf. obviously, just because your brother's a great fighter doesn't mean you're going to be able to be that by osmosis. But I would really bet you his brother's got to be doing everything he can to put aside all of his own business and help his brother for this fight. Slight dog, but I think we're going to see the first one in the UFC for the younger Tamer, with Daniel Tamer winning. Also, if he doesn't win, he probably will be cut. So I'm gonna continue because I see the doctor moving to different interesting places here. But actually, the doc may be back. Doc, I don't know if you're familiar enough with the younger Tamer for a comment on that, but what do you think with that breakdown I gave you? And before you answer, Tamer was killing it outside the UFC. He comes in, he loses 3 out of 3 in the UFC, and the guy he's fighting is making his UFC debut and was like 9-0 with 9 stoppages, but in a decidedly lesser respected organization. I go Tamer in Sweden, the Swede in his home city, against Sung Bin Jo. What do you think?
I do too.
Yeah.
I agree with you on this one. I think Tamer has a real opportunity to shine.
Yeah.
And it's probably, if he doesn't win, probably his
He's
last.
out.
So
right. Yeah.
I see it kind of being an advantage for him. He needs it, and he's already been through the gamut with with all the lights and the adrenaline dumps.
Right. 3 times.
He's already figured that out, or at least experienced it in comparison to his opponent. So
and he's in his backyard.
Yeah, and he's in his backyard. So I think this one's pretty much a win for him. I think Dana and the boys over there are making sure he gets a real opportunity to stay in the UFC.
I think so. Show him some good faith because his brother is killing it in the UFC, pretty much.
It has a lot to do with it,
yeah,
I'm sure.
Absolutely. Next Swedish fighter is Rostam Akman. Rostam Akman going up against Sergey Kondoshko. I don't know that much about either guy. Rostam Akman looks like he may be from somewhere other than Sweden originally, but raised and representing Sweden. He is the underdog as well, plus 140 to Sergey Kondoshko. I'm going to go for the Swede there. I think Akman's going to come out and do something. Looks like a tough guy. He's got a really good record, and he's in his backyard. Akman against Kondoshko. I don't think you have an opinion on that. But let's move on to Bea Malecki. Bea Malecki did win a fight in the Ultimate Fighter and then ended up falling short against Leah Letson. No shame in that. Leah Letson is absolutely, as legit as you can get. Well, not quite as legit as Macy, but definitely legit. And speaking about Macy, Bea Malecki is training with Team Fortis MMA and Macy Chesson. And so I think this is all Bea Malecki. She's going to be fighting in Sweden. She's from Sweden. This is her UFC debut after having done, like I said, pretty well in The Ultimate Fighter reality show the last season. Amazingly enough, she is just a very slight favorite with minus 120 against the undefeated Brazilian Eduarda Santana, I think it is. I'm can't read my old writing here. My dad was a doctor, that's why. And but yeah, Eduarda Santana, Dudu Santana, or Duda Santana, or something like that. Undefeated Brazilian. They call her Cowboy Zinha. I don't know. I think Bea Malecki takes that and probably smashes Eduarda Santana.
I'm gonna agree with that one 110%. I think.
Yeah, I think Bea is
just who she's training with, who her coach is, everything. It's an advantage for Malecki.
Yeah, it really is. And not only that, I would have thought it would have been clear with the odds makers, but I guess there's just not enough information because they both have such few fights, especially higher profile fights. But I have a feeling if Bea does what I think she can do in this fight and just completely wipes out Santana, then probably she will be more like minus 260, minus 300 in the future, not just minus 120. So this could be a good opportunity for those to jump on Bea Malecki. Next Swedish fighter. Wait a second. Oh yeah, next Swedish fighter will be the last Swedish fighter on the card, which is going to be Lena Landsberg, the elbow queen, going up against our friend, the awesome Tanya Evinger, the Gator. Filthy Tanya Evinger is going to kill it, in my opinion. This will be her first UFC win. I just think she's going to come in there and take Landsberg down and smash her. Tanya is indeed a fairly substantial favorite at minus 285. The comeback on the elbow queen Lena Landsberg plus 225. I mean, I think Tanya can finish this in the first round, and I'd like to see it, if not the second. How about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with this one. I think Tanya's gonna pull out.
Yeah, we're really cheering for her
so.
too. She deserves it. She really does. After her first fight being a short notice fight against Cyborg in a weight class she doesn't fight in, and then her next fight after 2 knee surgeries within the same 10 months, this is going to be, I hope and think, Tanya showing what she can really do as a longtime Invicta champion and women's MMA pioneer. So definitely go, Tanya, behind you 100%.
Absolutely.
Yep. No more Swedish fighters tomorrow, but you have from Jackson Wink, our friends over there. We love Mark Aragon and Michael Misha Lubomov. You guys are awesome. We're going to cheer for you, or at least I'm going to cheer for your guy, and I'm sure Adam will too. Devin the Brown Bear Clark, minus 110. Slight dog, very slight, to Darko Stosic at minus 120. Going to go with Devin Brown Bear Clark. Heard great things about you, Devin, and hopefully we'll be seeing you on the show in the next couple of weeks. I wonder what that was. Just heard a big popping in my ear.
That was Skype for some reason. Not sure who that was, but somebody sent me a message.
Oh, okay. Are we going to cheer for the Jackson Wink guy tomorrow, Devin Brown Bear Clark? I think it's a yes, right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Cool.
I'm all behind Jackson Wink team. Those guys are amazing over there.
Absolutely.
And
do it,
Mr.
Brown
Clark
Bear.
is great. Yep,
do it. Okay, now let's jump to a week from tomorrow. UFC 238. Dun, 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 dun. This is a super anticipated card. And you know what? All right, let's not start at the top. Let's leave the anticipation for the bigger fights for later. Dr. Adam Rorta, let's go down. Bevon Lewis, who was on this very show here several weeks ago, minus 235 against Darren Stewart. I don't know Darren Stewart too well, but Bevon Lewis was looking really great in person against Uriah Hall until he got caught, and that was his first UFC fight. I think he's going to be even more comfortable even in there. Even more focused and behind Bevon Lewis 100% against Darren Stewart. I don't know that you're familiar enough about Stewart, but I'm sure you're behind our friends at Jackson Wink with Bevon Lewis, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome.
And I really wouldn't be able to make any decision on that one other than the fact Bevon Lewis is just a really solid fighter, and ever since he came on our show, I've checked him out, and just I can't see him losing against somebody that I really know nothing about.
No, exactly. Not only, and he so much doesn't want to start his UFC career with 2 losses, and sometimes it's inevitable, but I don't think in this case. I think Bevon Lewis. Okay, next up. Man, everyone has a name here. Next up, we have Aljamain Sterling, minus 140, a slight favorite over Pedro Munoz. Man, everywhere Munoz goes, they make him a bit of a dog, and he keeps winning.
I was just going to say that. I'm going with Munoz on this one just because whenever he's a dog, he wins.
Yeah. Tough fight, man. I am so torn on this.
I'm not really that torn just because of what we just said. I really see it. I feel like for him, if he's a dog or picked as a dog, he feels that much more motivated, that mindset going into it. He's just going to come in and really do the same thing he does every time, and that's outperform what everybody sees him doing. Now, It's not just because he's an underdog. It's because that is a very common theme for him. His mentality seems to strengthen, and that's the most important part of this game in mixed martial arts, is being able to go in there with a good game plan and a good head on your shoulders. And I think whenever he's a dog, he has an even better head on his shoulders than his already good head.
Absolutely. I do agree that he is a very well, a good, what am I trying to say? He's a very good strategist. He has a great team. He thinks when he's in there, he can make adjustments. Very composed, very athletic, and very skilled. Such a tough fight on that one, man. I don't know. I feel like that stated, I'm going with Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling is absolutely tough as nails, but man, oh man, the winner of this is going to be in serious contention. And if it's a close fight, the loser probably should still stay in contention either way. But I'm going to just, if pressed, and I'm pretending I am impressed here because I could say I'm just on the fence, but I'm going to go Aljamain Sterling and Dr. Adam, or Dr. Allen, Dr. Fred Rorta has no, Dr. Adam Lionfist Rorta is going for Pedro.
Who's Dr. Anthony?
That's a good question. I don't know. Just call me Dr. Crandall. That was my dad, actually. Yeah. Anyway, Dr. Crandall and Dr. Rorta here breaking down fights for you. It's two doctors just sitting around here. Anyway, Dr. Adam Rorta, we are talking next about the Scotswoman, Joanne Jojo Calderwood, with her social media username, Bad Mofo Jojo. So we got Joanne Calderwood, very, very cool and relaxed and humble and kind of introverted, but looking like she's coming out of her shell more and more as the months go by, and just a great fighter and a cool person. She's going up against Caitlin Chukagian, who's out there training with Sijara Eubanks and all the great people, with Mark Henry, I believe. Wow, even -115 Calderwood, -115 Chukagian. God, I hate that fight. I like both girls a lot. I don't even know. I can't call that. I felt that Chukagian was ripped off of her last fight.
Yeah.
I forget. I think it was against Jessica Ai. I think probably she should be in there. Chukagian against Bullet, Shevchenko. So I kind of like to see when someone gets ripped off a decision, which happens a lot in MMA. I kind of like to see them win their next fight. But Jojo Calderwood is so cool. Joanne Calderwood. I don't know. I'm going on the fence on that one. It could go.
I'm going with Chukagian.
Chukagian, yeah, could very well be. It would be good. I'd like to see. Wouldn't mind seeing that, because when she gets ripped off of her last fight, hopefully, but not in a rip off. If she wins, let them give it to her, and if Calderwood wins,
well, we don't get it decided at the end of the day.
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, -160, comeback on Alexa Grasso, the great Mexican fighter, +130. Alexa Grasso was really killing it in Invicta, and she was facing some pretty darn good opponents. She looked so good, and there's nothing wrong with her, but Alexa Grasso, when she was winning, to me, looked like a world beater. She wasn't much of a wrestler, but I think she's a good brown belt in BJJ. She's super athletic. She's super composed. She's a real good striker. She's just a really adorable looking girl. She looks like everyone's good-looking little sister, if you have one, but has just not been able to, measure up to the task in the UFC, getting completely annihilated by Tatiana Suarez, but then everyone's getting completely annihilated by Tatiana Suarez. I don't know. Karolina was looking great for a while, but then just got completely annihilated herself by Jessica Andrade. But Jessica Andrade just smashed someone that no one thought could be beaten, Rose Namajunas. So I don't know. I'm going to go for the slight dog on this Alexa Grasso. But man, she's in tough with KK, as they call Karolina Kowalkiewicz from Poland. What do you think?
I don't know enough about either one of these, honestly, to be able to make any type of decision.
Understandable, no problem. So Alexa Grasso is my pick, but will be a very, very tough fight. Here we go. Speaking of, Tatiana Suarez, the female Khabib, or Habib, if you will. She is killing it. She is big for 115. She's tall for 115, so she's got the length. She's got the range. One of the best women's wrestlers, one of the best collegiate wrestlers in the history of women's MMA, along with Sarah McMahon and several other people. Check out these odds. -1,200 for Tatiana Suarez. So you would think she's going up against a can.
Right.
Her opponent is the significant other of Amanda Nunes, the bantamweight champion. Nina Ansaroff, I think, has won 3 or 4 fights in a row now and has looked really, really good. Her last victory was, I think, against Claudia Gadelha, and Claudia was still ranked number 7 or 8. The fact that they're not giving Ansaroff any chance here, to me, is wrong. Is it very possible? that nothing can stop this force that is Tatiana Suarez? Yes, it is. That wrestler grind and the fact that she's so dominant. But if somehow Ansaroff can stop her, Ansaroff can touch her up. I don't know. What do you think? What's your thought? I'm going to think about my thought before I shout anything out. Ansaroff minus 1,200. The comeback. Sorry, Suarez. Tatiana Suarez minus 1,200. Nina Ansaroff, the comeback, plus 700.
I mean, Ansaroff should definitely be the underdog on this one, but not nearly that amount. I think this should be a lot closer to the 100 on either side.
Or maybe minus 200.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it really shouldn't be much different than that.
No, because Ansaroff, I mean, she's been killing it, and she's been stopping the takedowns, and she's got freaking, her girl.
MMA math is completely wrong a lot of the time, and this is one of those opportunities, I think, for anybody that really knows their fighters, and if you feel strongly about it, Ansaroff might be a good one to go in on.
Hell of a,
I'm just going to drop $20 just because that's such a huge spread.
140
in this
back.
case, she actually has a chance. So,
yeah, she does.
I'm not saying go drop $20,000 on it, unless that's really how you felt already before watching this.
Right.
But it is quite the spread that I really don't see being able to be filled in the way that they're expecting it to.
Yeah, I think it's a big overlay. I don't know about saying maybe minus 200 like you're inferring, but maybe it should be like minus 450 or something like that. Suarez, not minus 1,200. So yeah, I not going to shout out that Nina Ansaroff wins that fight, but I have a feeling she'll have her moments, and it is possible she might win. I might put $20 on Ansaroff at those odds.
Yeah, at those odds, I mean, I just see him being ridiculous enough that I also see that getting into the camp of Suarez and maybe even getting into her head a little bit. That may help Ansaroff win this one.
Yeah, if Suarez goes in there thinking this is a walkover, hey, she could be in big trouble. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's where my thoughts are. So I might as well put 20 on it and go for it. I don't like to gamble so wildly, but this is one of those cases I feel there's actually a small enough chance that $20 isn't going to hurt me.
I agree. And Ansaroff, I think Ansaroff
could pay out big.
Yeah. Now, could she get completely annihilated? Possibly. I just don't think so. Could it? Might it happen in the second round or the third? I don't know. I just have a feeling. I have a feeling either Ansaroff will have her moments, or at least will have her moment. It won't be just a 100% shutout or a skunk, as we used to call it. But we'll see. Interestingly enough, let's actually go one more before we have the title fights. Jimmy Rivera, very, very, very tough fighter, was on an absolutely incredible streak of, I think, 8 or 9 fights in a row. Did get caught by Marlon Moraes, who everyone's been getting caught by, and then did get outworked a little bit by Aljamain Sterling. Funny enough, both of them on this card. I wonder, wouldn't it be funny if all 3 of them are in the same locker room? Because the funny thing is that Jimmy lost to Aljamain and Marlon, but Aljamain lost to Marlon as well, and they're all on the same card. Anyway, Jimmy Rivera is being made a fairly substantial dog here against the Russian Peter Yan. Jimmy Rivera plus 250 and Peter Yan minus 325. I think that's an overlay as well. Yeah, Peter Yan has been looking great. I think Jimmy Rivera is very live in that fight. I think
absolutely.
I think he's a more experienced fighter.
This is, again, another MMA math situation gone awry.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Jimmy Rivera, and the only reason that this is really looking that way for the Vegas odds is because he's 2 losses in a row.
Yeah.
And they're not factoring in who he lost to,
exactly.
So.
And so I got Jimmy Rivera in this. I got the dog, Jimmy Rivera to beat Peter Yan.
I'm going in on this one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now we have 2 title fights, but before the title fight, we have a fight that one could possibly one day have the winner be fighting for a title. We're talking about Cowboy Donald Cerrone, only a couple months after his, not even 2 months, like 6 or 7 weeks after, like Al Iaquinta said, beating the shit out of me, beating the shit out of Al Iaquinta. And now, though, he has the boogeyman on his hands, El Kukui, Tony Ferguson. This is where I think Cowboy Cerrone's luck runs out.
I said it once before. I'll say it again. I think Cerrone is going to go ahead and take this. I really do.
Yeah, I remember you said that. Well, here's the odds. Ferguson minus 170. The comeback on Cowboy Cerrone plus 140. So not a huge difference. Either
where I'd put the odds, but I honestly think in this one Cerrone is just going to show up just like he has been.
Yep.
He's been on a tear. This man is.
He's fighting really hard ever since he has his son.
Yeah, ever since his kid came about, it's just like he had a whole new passion for the sport, and it's been really fun watching him. He is always one of the more excited fighters, but ever since he had his kid, it's just been that much more entertaining to watch him. And I think in this case, he's going to come out and put on a show for everybody with Ferguson there being at the short end of the stick. I don't think he's going to walk away being a happy man. I'm just going to put it that way.
Could very well be. There's absolute title ramifications in this fight, though, as we all know. The winner of this should, without question, get the winner of Khabib versus Dustin Poirier. Almost without a doubt. I mean, in fact, yeah, without question.
Oh yeah, I mean, without question, I agree with that too. But the thing is, I don't see either of these guys. Okay, first off, we're looking at the situation of Cerrone, who's been on a tear, not necessarily by being a smart fighter, even though he is. Don't get me wrong there. But he's an exciting fighter, very intentionally for the love of the sport.
Yes.
And that's what's been getting him the wins. I think that's what's going to keep getting him the wins. I think he's training just like he has been every other time. And Tony Ferguson is one of the guys that's done it the same way for a majority of his career.
Yep.
I think coming into this fight, though, Tony is at a different point in a mindset. I mean, just the way he's talking, the way he carries himself. I don't see him approaching this the same way that Cerrone is.
Maybe. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, but I mean, let's break it down like this. Ferguson was scheduled for 5 different times to fight against Khabib. Each time the fight didn't come through. The last time he slipped literally on a banana peel in one of the studio before, well, maybe not a banana peel, but something, and twisted his ankle.
Probably was. I mean,
it may have been someone threw down a banana peel like the old days. Yeah.
Mario Kart.
Yeah. So he's coming back from an injury, but he's been on an absolute tear. Cowboy has won, I think, 2 or 3 fights in a row since he came back down to 55, but before that had lost 3 out of 4 fights at welterweight, I think. Kukui, Tony Ferguson, has won 10 fights in a row, I believe.
Absolutely, but I mean, you just look at the way he's carrying himself right now. It's a lot different from his norm, from what I've seen in the past. I feel like he's actually, there's a little bit of fear that I'm sensing when he's talking about things. It's not as relaxed, and maybe it's just me paying too much attention and hoping for something. But
you're feeling it. Maybe he may not be at 100%, Ferguson.
That's what I'm feeling, like 100%. Whether he is physically or not, mentally, I think he's not there. I think Cerrone actually has the style that does scare somebody like Ferguson, and I think that in this case, especially after watching this last fight. Cerrone is going to scare anybody. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if you are Khabib or if you're. I mean, you could be Brock Lesnar and be scared. This guy from the last fight.
Yeah, for sure. No, he looks good. I wouldn't bet my life on Ferguson, but I do think he's going to win. So I'm going to go Ferguson. You're going Cerrone.
Yeah.
Should be an interesting fight, man. And the winner, is going to be. The winner is going to be hoping that Poirier and Khabib really beat the crap out of each other and hurt each other, so that maybe they can be going up against a slightly damaged fighter 6 months later. So that's kind of what I think. Although they probably want them to be at their best. I'm sure no one wants, those guys don't want anyone to be at their worst, but still, nevertheless. Okay, 2 title fights here. And we are going to start with Jessica Ai versus Valentina Shevchenko. You guys remember what we were just talking about 5 minutes ago, as do you, Dr. Adam Rhoda, with the huge odds with Tatiana Suarez minus 1,200 and Nina Ansaroff plus 700. Well, how about Valentina Shevchenko minus 1,400?
I actually agree with that.
Yeah, against Jessica Ai, you don't think Ai has much of a shot?
Not at all. Not at all. I agree with these odds on this one completely. Okay. I would not bet against Valentina on it. I'm 100% there for Valentina.
The Bullet should win this fight, but but you and me are Midwesterners, and to not give the Ohio girl even a chance. Now,
I'm sorry, I have to do it on this one.
And I'm okay with that, just because they're both huge odds. But does Jessica necessarily have as good a chance as we feel Nina Ansaroff has? No, but I think that they're both pretty equal on the ground. For those of you who don't think Jessica has any ground game, watch her against a decidedly bigger girl with the ground game in Juliana Pena from about 2 years ago, pretty much holding Pena to a stalemate in that fight. This is 10 pounds lighter. Did Valentina Shevchenko submit aforementioned Juliana Pena? Yes, she did. But has Valentina Shevchenko been submitting a lot of girls with her great jits? No, she hasn't. I think on the ground, Jessica's okay against Shevchenko. On the feet, is Shevchenko a much more decorated striker? Yes, but is I a good striker and a tough girl? Yes. Granted, I thought she did get a bit of a gift decision against Caitlin Chukagian, but tough girl. I think she has a chance here. I may throw $10 on her, $20. I don't know. Like with Ansaroff, I think she will have her moments. I doubt that she will win, but wouldn't be completely shocked. Now let's get on to the main event. We have, and also, so you are picking easily Shevchenko. I'm picking Shevchenko. Okay, Marlon Moraes against Henry Cejudo. Now, Henry Cejudo at 125 is a killer. We know that. Nobody beats Henry Cejudo at 125. If you brought back Demetrius Johnson and had them fight 10 times, probably one would win 5 and the other would win 5, in my opinion, and all 10 would be close. But taking Demetrius Johnson out of the mix, and he did beat Demetrius Johnson fair and square, but if you took Demetrius Johnson out of the mix, Henry Cejudo beats without issue anybody else at 125. But at 135, he's a short 135-pound fighter. Is he by far the better wrestler here? Yes. He's going up against a man with excellent takedown defense, one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous striker in the lighter weights. I've been a fan of Marlon Moraes ever since he fought in the World Series of Fighting, which no longer exists, then morphed into the Professional Fighters League. Marlon jumped over to the UFC. I communicated with him at that point and said, man, I know you're going to kill it. And I know he appreciated my support and those good wishes, which he responded. So, and he has killed it since then. For a guy who's not super tall, I think he's maybe 5'7" or something like that, but he'll be like 4 inches taller than Cejudo. For a guy at 5'7", he looks like he has a 10-pack in his abs. And sometimes if you see guys 6'6", it looks like they've got an 8 or a 10-pack. But it's unusual to see a guy 5'7" looks like he's got like 10 cubes in his stomach. How do you do that? But man, what a conditioned athlete. What a fighter. What do you think?
Yeah, with this fight, I just really this is one of the tougher ones I've seen in a while as far as trying to pick one or the other. I am a huge fan of Cejudo as a wrestler, and I think he is that level of wrestler to where it's still, even with Moraes being a good defender against the takedown, I just don't see him having the defense that's necessary to keep Cejudo at bay. I just really don't. Cejudo, I mean, he is hands down the best wrestler in a weight range. I would not just say at 125.
Right.
I would put him there all the way up probably to about 150 if I were to put him up against anybody in that weight range.
Yeah.
I see him still being able to tear it up in a way that it doesn't matter. And when it comes to MMA, most of us see it this way, and I definitely do, where wrestling is one of the most important things to have a pedigree in. Mm-hmm. And Cejudo not only has a pedigree, he's arguably one of the best wrestlers of all time. So being able to get him in there in this octagon with somebody that has a decent, not just a decent, a really good defense against the takedown, it still really doesn't mean that much to me just because of the level of wrestling that Cejudo brings to the table. And when I say the weight differential from what he's used to fighting and what he's going for with here, I don't see that much. This is me, somebody that used to be a wrestler, and my mentality and how I used to do. I used to wrestle up because the guys were slower.
Yeah.
Okay, and especially in this weight range, you're talking about a huge speed differential between everybody.
And because you were competing at these weight ranges.
Yes, absolutely. And so, and I fought it in these weight ranges as well. So the thing is, when you're going up from 125 to 135, yeah, I may be losing some strength with my opponent. They're going to have some strength on me. They're going to have some length. Maybe they didn't have that with me, but in general, some length. And some height and a little more padding so they can take a little more of a strike. But really, they're so much slower.
Well, Cejudo,
you're talking about night and day difference with speed. You really are between the 125 and 135. And Cejudo,
although Marlon is so fast, though, as you know,
he's
but
fast,
not with wrestling.
Yeah, not with wrestling. Not at the 125 weight class with an Olympic gold medalist caliber. I mean, you just don't have that. And Cejudo is literally, in my mind, the best wrestler to come into this sport, and to really even say that anybody can defend it. That really makes me kind of on guard a little bit. I just don't see that being the case. I don't see that being the truth. Now, is this going to be an easy fight for Cejudo? No, not at all. But I think he's going to go out there and tear it up at 135. I still think he's going to take this. I don't think he's going to leave that much damage from strikes.
Right.
But is it something where he's going to end up maybe getting a ref stoppage from strikes after taking him down? Absolutely. I think that's how it's going to go. It's probably going to happen in the third round.
Do you think he's going to have to keep taking Moraes down, or he'll be able to, or he'll be able to keep him down?
No, absolutely. He's going to wear him down, trying to keep going for those takedowns.
So he's just going to shoot and reshoot because Moraes will spring up.
Yep. And I mean, there will be, obviously they're going to move around and focus a little bit on strikes as well, too. But, it's not going to be on the feet, or the focus isn't going to be about being on the feet in this matchup. I see it being more about Moraes really just defending against the takedown a majority of the fight.
Gotcha. How long, to be off subject here, how long is our Asia update? 15 minutes?
That's 10 minutes.
Okay, so then we've got maybe 5 more minutes to go. Okay, so let's recap here, and I appreciate that. You have Cejudo. I think that I will go Cejudo again. He'll be the double champ, which will be amazing. But man, Moraes is dangerous as hell. So either way, but yeah, I guess if forced, I'll go Cejudo. But I'm really on the fence on this one. Marlon Moraes could win this fight, and I wouldn't be shocked. Oh, the odds. Let's go here. We have the favorite, Marlon Moraes, -125. The comeback on Henry Cejudo, -105. So negligible difference in the odds. Just Cejudo a little bit of a dog. Recapping for tomorrow. Both of us have Lionheart Smith, the dog, over Gustafsson. Both of us have Devin Brown Bear Clark over Stosic. Both of us have Bea Malecki against Santana. Rostam Akman is my pick, the Swede, against Sergey Kendoshko. No pick from Dr. Adam Rorta. Daniel Tamer is both of our picks to win, the slight dog against the Korean Sung Bin Jo. Tanya Evinger is both of our picks, the favorite against Alina Landsberg. Go Tanya, come on. Ilir Latifi, the Albanian Swede, is my pick, Dr. Adam Rorta. Contrarian as he is in this case, going for the Swiss fighter Volkan Oezdemir. 1 week from tomorrow, Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling is my pick. Dr. Adam Rorta going with the slight dog Pedro Munoz. Man, that's tough. I could go either way on that fight, so I could be on the fence on that. But
and the majority of my reason really is you just don't go against him.
Yeah, Munoz, he's so great. I think he's over at ATT also, so I hope our friends there are watching.
He's the underdog.
He's amazing. I like Munoz, and I think he could definitely win that fight, but I think Sterling may have it here. I think it's going to be a war, though. That may be, in my opinion, fight of the night. Sterling against Pedro Munoz. Bevon Lewis, we both have the Jackson Wink representative in his second UFC fight. We're looking at him coming out and making this his first win, his last fight having been short notice and doing really well against Uriah Hall till he got caught. Joanne Jojo Calderwood against Caitlin Chukagian. Dr. Adam Rorta has Chukagian, the blonde fighter. I'm on the fence on that one. I'm going to go Chukagian, but what's her name is so cool. Joanne Calderwood, the Scotsman, but woman. Hopefully we'll see a great fight there too. KK Karolina Kowalkiewicz, the Polish fighter, the favorite against Alexa Grasso. I've got Alexa Grasso. Did you not know enough about that, or were you with me?
I didn't know enough.
No, not enough for Dr. Eduardo. Okay. And Tatiana Suarez against Nina Ansaroff. We both feel Ansaroff is a live dog, especially to be that big a dog, plus 700. But I don't know that either of us went so far as to say she will win that fight. Probably both of us are feeling probably Tatiana Suarez wins, but I do think Ansaroff is worth a small bet if you're inclined to do so, and not with money you can't afford to lose. Of course, Dr. Adam Rorta with me on that call. Jimmy Rivera, the underdog, to beat Peter Yan, and that is verified and confirmed by both myself and Dr. Adam Rorta. We're cheering for and believe in Jimmy Rivera. Tony Ferguson, El Kukui, I have the boogeyman to beat Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and Dr. Adam Rorta, the other side, feeling very confident in the Cowboy to beat El Kukui. That will be a fantastic fight. Amazing title ramifications on that. I would say the screen is frozen here. I see myself frozen, Doc, and I'm hearing beeping.
Yep. That is because my phone is ringing. You should be good.
Okay, I'll continue.
We can hear you. We can see you on the screen. Your eyeballs are kind of funky, but
it looks like the screen's
keep going here for a second.
Okay, there we go. Sounds good.
Well, just put you sideways for some reason. I'll figure it out. All right.
Let's see. Okay, I'll keep talking here though, even though I guess you guys can't see me. Jessica Evil Eye, the big dog, against Valentina Shevchenko, the big dog in another way. The Bullet is the favorite. We both are thinking Shevchenko. I think I has a chance to do something. Dr. Adam Rorta, not so much. Bullet Shevchenko for the victory. And I think that's about it. Hey, I'm back. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? What's happened? Good to see you. Thank you, Dr. Adam Rorta, Roar Master. Okay, so we have the Roar Master, Dr. Adam Rorta, getting everything fixed as he always does. He does his surgery, and that surgery is great. Why don't we get ready to see who just blew in? Maybe we can throw it to one of the most respected journalists in Asia, Dana Bluen. Here you go, brother.
I'm Dana Bluen, and today we're talking about the odd occurrence of so many fighters from big gyms outside of Asia that are repping Evolve MMA when they fight in one championship. Before I get into it, though, don't forget to subscribe to the Asian MMA podcast so you don't miss any Asian MMA goodness. And for those of you who don't know, Evolve MMA is a Singapore-based gym founded and owned by Chatri Sityodtong. Just in case you don't know, that happens to be the same Chatri Sityodtong that is the founder, chairman, and CEO of One Championship. Now, let's put the blaring conflict of interest aside just for the moment to start this conversation off. Given the size of Evolve and its location in Singapore, its proximity to the One Championship headquarters, it would make sense that we would see a lot of fighters from their stable in the promotion. Then we take into account that the promotion and the gym actually have the same owner. Again, we're putting aside that conflict of interest just for the moment. And of course, then we're going to realize it becomes even more commonplace to see Evolve fighters on the roster. And surely we're not surprised if we see many of them, move up the ranks, get favorable matchmaking, get put into title shots, get decisions overturned like we recently saw. in all of that under the veil of Asian MMA, you sort of understand it. The lack of commissions, the lack of transparency, the do whatever you want attitude. You can start to understand. But what really gets me, what really makes me scratch my head, is why so many fighters who come over from the US or from the West to the promotion and are from big gyms outside of Asia come into one championship and they rep Evolve MMA alongside their own gym. So just in recent history, we have seen this with Ben Askren, who repped Rufus Sport and Evolve. We saw this with Demetrius Johnson, who repped AMC Pancration and Evolve. And keep in mind, his head coach from AMC Pancration, Matt Hume, is an executive at one championship and plays a major role in their matchmaking. Gary Tonin repped Renzo Gracie and Evolve. And most recently, Sage Northcutt repped Alpha Male and Evolve and even walked out in an Evolve MMA t-shirt to his 29-second loss at his premiere, at his debut. Now, of course, we have to mention the two fighters that the promotion pushes more than anyone else, Angela Lee and her brother Christian Lee, both of whom fight out of United MMA and Evolve MMA. All of this raises some questions for me. Right? I have to wonder, what's the motivating factor for these fighters to come over and rep a gym other than their own, other than the one that they train at, that they spend their time at, that they run their camps out of? Why would you rep another gym alongside theirs? Is this more of a sponsorship type of thing where they're throwing a little bit of extra cash at these fighters just to get the name of the gym out there? This is very much like what we saw with Gary Goodrich being paid to rep Kuk Sool Won at UFC 8. Some of you guys might remember that he came out with that weird sleeveless gi thing with the name of the gym on the back, having, only trained there for like a week. It's really just all a schmooze. A lot of it comes back to that full-blown lack of transparency that one championship is so well known for. They're famous for it. And anyone who has followed the sport for any amount of time, this whole dual gym thing is strange, right? Fighters are generally very loyal to their camp. They're very loyal to their gym. And, when you realize that the same guy owns the promotion they're fighting in this weird secondary gym that they're repping, it's even stranger. Now, of course, any reasoning I come up with is pure speculation. Right? I don't know all the facts, but I'm a speculating man, so I'm willing to give it a theoretical go. At first, I really thought this might be just part of the cost of doing business with one championship for well-known fighters looking for another run in a big organization, because there's no doubt that one is indeed a big organization now. But the numbers for that really don't add up, because when you look, there are some very notable names, some very well-known fighters who didn't do the whole dual gym thing. Yushin Okami for one, Eddie Alvarez for another, right? So those are two very big names, recent signings to one that didn't do the whole dual gym thing. So unlikely that that's part of the cost of doing business, which really leads me to think that it's much closer to the whole sponsorship idea. That Evolve wants to have high caliber fighters, famous fighters, rep their gym, fall under their banner, and if they can leverage some type of contract with one championship or some type of better payday or just a straight sponsorship thing, then it makes it, very easy for them to get those fighters under their banner. And it's a lot easier than developing world-class fighters on your own if you can just attract them to the gym in some way. Now, I wanted to sort of confirm these suspicions. I reached out to some people who are former members of the Evolve Fight team. I talked to a handful of people, and they all confirmed that none of the above fighters that I mentioned who rep both gyms spend any considerable time at Evolve, with the exception of the Lees who do go there occasionally and train. Other than these guys drop in occasionally and do a seminar, or they might come there for the last week or two for their camps before they're fighting in Asia. However, most of the time they bring their team with them to finish out their camp on their own, and they very rarely, if ever, join the fighter practices. So, it's very clear that they're not training there. But knowing this adds a lot of weight to the idea that these fighters are coming from the U.S. They're really more of a sponsored fighter. They're just getting paid to be a brand ambassador, essentially, for Evolve, a gym that they're not really training at. And I think that's why you see Evolve when they advertise, they say, we have, 170 world champions at our facility. Maybe you're paying a lot of them to be there. I don't know. At the end of the day, again, all speculation, some educated guesses, thrown in there with a little bit of inside knowledge, some input from other people. But when operations are so opaque the way they are with one, it's hard to do more than speculate about anything. One of the things, though, and this came up with every single former member of the Evolve Fight team that I talked to, one of the things that is really interesting, and this is probably one of the biggest flags for conflict of interest between Evolve and One, with Chatri being the owner of both, is that they all told me Chatri trains with the team almost every single day. He's in there training with them, and they all told me that occasionally he actually shows up and he'll run the training, he'll run the practice, and he'll be the guy giving them instruction. And keep in mind, this is the same guy who owns the promotion that they fight for. He's the chairman, founder, CEO of One Championship. He trains with them every day. Sometimes he takes on the role of their coach. He's running the training. How can he not assume that impacts his objectivity? Now, I went back and did some research, and if you go back to some of the early One events, back when it was still One FC, before they dropped the word fighting from their vocabulary, there are fights where Chatri is actually cornering fighters, cornering Evolve fighters. I'll put links in the show notes. One fight, he is actually cornering Shinya Aoki. Another video from the very first One FC event, he walks out with Eddie Ung in a fight against Yun Chung Bo, where Matt Hume, one of the executives for One Championship, a guy who plays a big role in matchmaking and deciding the entire athletic structure of the company, is the referee. Talk about conflict of interest, it's just all over the place. To put this in perspective, from a Western perspective, before Dana White was the president and minority shareholder in the UFC, he managed several fighters. You may have heard of them, Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. Once he had an ownership stake and a management position, he had to remove himself from that role because there is no legitimate commission on the face of the planet that would allow that conflict of interest to exist. But hey, this is Asian MMA. Nothing to see here. What do you guys think? Why are so many of the One Championship imports repping Evolve MMA alongside their own gyms? Do you guys think that's strange? Let me know. And what do you think about Chatri's involvement with Evolve? Is this a conflict of interest since he also runs One Championship? Do I even need to ask?
On.
Thank you so much for that great contribution, Dana Blue, and always great to hear your insight and on-point observations. And Dr. Adam Rorta, I'm so sorry. I know that you were going to bring us in.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Make sure to give us likes, comments, and shares, and thank you in advance for that. That is what's helping our show out. Now, we did just recently, in the last week and a half, hit 1 million views total over all of our platforms and since the beginning of our inception. So I just want to say thank you so much for all the love you've been giving us, and make sure to keep it up because we cannot do this without you. If you want your weekly news from us and some great dad jokes every week, we can't get it out to you any other way other than the likes, comments, and shares really making it happen for us. So definitely keep helping us out with that. And Colin, I'm going to let you take it from here right before we get into our next guest.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adam Rorta. Absolutely. Thank you all for your contributions and help. 1 million views. We really appreciate that. Now, if we could just get 1 million views every episode. So Everyone, tell every single person you know, every single social media friend, that all you got to do is watch the MMA Power every week. That would be great. But nevertheless, we're really happy with the support we're getting. And
I want to jump in and give an exciting stat for you, Colin. They say once you hit 1 million views total online, that it's like that milestone that literally gets you to 1 million views per episode. So the fact that you even brought that up is really interesting, because that really is kind of the main milestone that they say before you really start stepping it up. That's the number you need to hit. Well, we just hit it, so now hopefully with everybody's love and shares, we can see the same kind of numbers that you're kind of joking about, but not really.
That would be great. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that's a good sign, and and I really appreciate the viewership. Any suggestions you guys have? I know being more interactive, I think, would be great. We used to have a big monitor in our other studio where I could actually see your questions as they come in. We're going to try to make that happen again. If anyone has any suggestions, maybe if any of you guys feel you'd love to be on the show, we could do a contest winner show, ends up on the show. If there's anything we could do, you feel, to make this more exciting and fun, we'd love to do it, and informative as well, of course. And if you like what we're doing, let us know. We really appreciate it. Super grateful for the support. Okay, let's go over about 3 more minutes of stuff, and then maybe about 5 minutes from now on schedule. So basically, Dr. Adam Road is asking me a question here. Doc? Oh, yes. There we go. Now I get it. So in these next few minutes, I really want to thank our sponsors here again. Let's start out with DigiSouth, digisouth.co, that great arm of the great Digital Southpaw, as opposed to DigiNorth or Digital Northpaw. DigiSouth, they are great. They're a company that really can help you market your products, and they care, and they have 2 of the greatest minds out there, Dr. Adam Rorta, and the other one is one of our silent partners there with DigiSouth, but he is amazing as well. So check them out. Cross Train MMA Fighter, my company. Thank you guys for the support. Many of you have been contacting me by email personally to buy some shirts. Anyone else want to do that, hit me up. I'll make some deals for fans who really want the shirts, because I know everyone's struggling. I am pricing them really low, and when people get them, they're like, dang, this is a really good quality shirt for the money. So there's that. And Warfighter Hemp, amazing company, giving half of their proceeds for all profits to veterans charities and organizations. Run by veterans, and it's clean, great quality stuff. Warfighter Hemp. Check out their products online. Thank you so much to them. And combatpress.com. Rob Tatum, love you. Great, amazing journalist, and one of the best guys in this world of MMA in our sport. So combatpress.com. Thank you so much. Dr. Adam Rorta is working on roaring in with our next guest, which we're okay if it takes 2 or 3 more minutes. So, well, we're gonna do it now. Let's see. Skype. We may be. Whoop. Hi, Macy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Hey, I think we may be 3 minutes early or something like that. Sorry about that. Is this okay time? Macy? Oop. What happened there, Doc? That means we had her for a second and we lost her. Missed it by that much. An old comedy line from old TV. Roar Master, are you going to try to make that connection again? I imagine yes. Okay, good. While Dr. Adam Rorta roars his way in there, we'll see if we can get some roaring going on here for our guest. Hey, Macy, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me, Macy?
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, sorry if we're a couple minutes late. Are you all ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Cool. Actually, a couple minutes early. What am I saying? Not late. Anyway, hey, so glad to have you back here, ladies and gentlemen. We're so happy to have back on our show that top women's UFC bantamweight contender and winner of the Ultimate Fighter, fighting out of Team Fortis MMA in Texas. We were talking about the awesome Louisianan Macy Chesson. Welcome back to the show, Macy.
Thanks, guys.
So you're doing all kinds of great stuff. We had some technical issues. It looks like with your phone last time. You were you were kind enough to come back. I really appreciate it a lot. And so you guys want to see the first half of the interview, you can go back and check last week. But we're going to go over a few other things here, Macy. I'd love to have your opinion on some big WMMA fights. First off, though, if there's anything you want to shout out or anything going on, if somehow a fight was scheduled for you in the last week, let me know. Or if there's anything you want to throw out there before I get your opinions, feel free to go ahead and shout it out.
No, I don't have anything to really talk about right now. Everything, there's still a few things in the works, so there's not really much to shout out about.
No problem. So can I pick your brain in the pros pick segment?
Sure.
Awesome. I really appreciate it. So Macy was kind enough to join us here in the pros pick segment, brought to you by Digi South. So Macy, there are some great women's fights coming up. May I ask you, I know some women's fighters prefer watching women's fights, and some watch equal as many men's fights as women's fights, and some really don't want to watch too many fights other than their own. Where do you stand as far as that?
I think it really just depends on my interests, and I think that goes for anyone who's watching a spectator sport, who interests them. And, there's obviously, I have favorites and whatnot. And then there's also people that I'm trying to look out for and, make sure that I pay attention to a certain fight. But it's really, it really just depends on the card.
Makes sense. All right, well, let me get on this, and I'm going to ask your opinion on several fights, and I think we'll go maybe about 12 minutes or so. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Okay, so coming up tomorrow, we are in Sweden, and there are some interesting fights there, several Swedish fighters. Someone training with you that I know you did throw out there was Bea Malecki. How's she feeling as far as the fight tomorrow? I would imagine she's ready to kill it, huh?
Yeah, she's ready to go. I actually was going to go out to Sweden with my coach from Fortis to work with them, but we had a few things come up last minute, so I wasn't able to get out there. But, man, she's ready to go. She came 7 weeks ago to Fortis to do her camp with us, and, it really was a big change for her because she wasn't used to the way that we train, And towards the end of her camp, I mean, she looked like a whole different person. I mean, when I went out to Canada to fight, and then I came back after 2 weeks, I mean, she, it's a big change. So I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited for her, and I think that she's going to do really, really well, especially with the leaps and bounds that she's really made since she's gotten here. And it's really only one way up, it's from here on out. And she's such a good part of good asset to the team, especially for me, because she is a big 35er. I mean, she's 6 feet tall, and she's she's a big girl. So 6 foot tall person isn't that easy to throw around.
No, absolutely. And she was impressive at as in the Ultimate Fighter. Even though you won it all, she was definitely impressive there. And and the feeling that you have that she's gotten a lot better is excellent. What's interesting? At first, they had her as a slight underdog in this fight, and that's changed to make her a slight favorite. And I was talking to a buddy of mine who was always a big-time bettor, and I said, why are they having Bea just a slight favorite in this fight? And he said, well, the sports books don't know enough about her and about this other girl, right? And I said, okay. I said, because if Macy was fighting this girl, she'd be like minus 700 favorite. And he said, that's probably true. And I said, right. And I said, I guess Bea's not Macy, but I have a feeling she's going to look as close to you as possible in a great victory tomorrow. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. And I was looking at the odds on that, and I was like, wow. I mean, it's it's very minute, compared to scoring, as far as scoring goes, But yeah, it's true. I mean, they don't know enough about her. They've only seen this and that, and she hasn't had very many MMA fights, and I mean, she did really well in the house, but there was a lot that needed to work on. And I mean, man, she's killing it. She's killing it, and I'm really excited for her.
Excellent. Me too. I can't wait to see it. And I have a feeling when she absolutely smashes this girl, pretty soon she will be minus 400 and minus 600 and stuff like you, I think, coming up in some other fights. So I'm looking forward to a good win. Also, I talked to your the head coach there, Safe. He's going to join us on the show next week, and I just talked to him about an hour ago.
Awesome.
He's on his way to Sweden. So yeah, we really look forward to that. Team Fortis is absolutely a force not to be denied.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay, also in Sweden, we have Tanya Evinger against Lena Landsberg. And for full disclosure, Tanya has actually been on my show like 4 or 5 times in the last two years. She came on early on, and it doesn't mean you have to pick her to win, but we're cheering like crazy for Tanya Evinger. If she fights like she used to fight before her knee surgery, I think she's got it. They have her as a fairly substantial favorite, but how do you break down that fight for maybe a minute or so with Tanya and Lena Landsberg?
Yeah, I just think that, you know, Tanya is more of a grinder, you know, and she's a little bit more of a dog as far as, you know, all over MMA goes. And I mean, Lena's got great stand-up, but, you know, as far as full, you know, every aspect of fighting, I think Tanya is a little bit stronger in that suit. And I've always been a fan of both, so there's no hate or disrespect towards either of those people. It's just kind of like my thought process.
Absolutely, makes sense. And then how about the main event? Gustafsson and Lionheart Smith. Gustafsson, a fairly substantial favorite. I'm kind of surprised about that. I thought they might make that closer, even though it is in Gustafsson's backyard. But any thoughts on Anthony Lionheart Smith and Gustafsson, both coming off losses to John Jones?
Yeah. Man, there is a lot to say about Anthony Smith's last fight, but, you know, I don't know. That could have been kind of like more fuel for him as far as coming back a little bit stronger. And I mean, Gustafsson's got a great jab. He's so long, and I mean, I'm not really sure as far as that goes. I mean, Smith went, you know, all 5 rounds with John, and I mean, he survived and made it through. He didn't give up. So it says a lot about someone, you know.
Yeah. I think it should be a tough fight. I think even if Gustafsson wins, it won't be easy. I'm sure you'd agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I agree.
Cool. Okay, let's jump to June 8th. And you know, it's funny, I could have sworn that one of your guys was on either next week or the week after, but I believe it's the week after that. That's where Menifield's fighting Paul Craig. That's what, the 15th or 22nd or something. Right?
I thought it was the 29th.
Okay, yeah, that could be. Okay.
22nd or the 29th, whichever. Yeah.
Okay, and Team Fortis doesn't have anyone on June 8th on that big UFC 238, or do they? Do you know?
No, we don't. We have 2 guys fighting on the Contender Series, Miles Johns and Ramiz. They're both fighting June 25th on Dana White's Tuesday.
Nice.
And then we have Steven Ocho Peterson that is fighting July 20-something, 29th.
Okay.
Maybe Alonzo Mainfield is the 22nd, because I know one person's the 29th, and they're both late in the month. So.
Okay, absolutely. So you guys get ready to look out for them. Amazing fighters there from Team Fortis. So a lot of amazing fights, and I think we're going to go about another 8 minutes. So maybe give me like 30 or 40 seconds on each of these. All right. How about, let's start near the top. How about, let's just do the women. Jessica Ai and Valentina Shevchenko. Shevchenko is a huge favorite. This is this is not your division. One division down, but both girls used to fight at bantamweight, as you know. I don't know if Jessica Ai should be an absolutely huge dog, not given any chance at all. What do you think?
Right. I agree with you. I mean, I understand why Shevchenko is like a big favorite, but I do think that, you know, they should give Jessica Ai a little bit more credit.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she'll have her moments in that fight and could even possibly win it.
Right.
Yeah. All right. How about this one? What do you call her? What do I call it? It's terrible. The champion, Amanda Nunes, in your division. The champion's girlfriend, Nina Ansaroff, also given virtually no chance against Tatiana Suarez. What do you think in that one?
I wouldn't take her lightly.
Yeah.
Ansarov. I mean, she's had some dominating fights these last couple of fights, and some of them were wars, and I mean, you can't take anyone lightly, you know, especially when you're going to the top of a division, no matter who it is or what. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a fight.
Yeah.
And that's just always been me. I've never been a big person on odds, you know, because anything can happen.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's interesting. If someone were to do a betting parlay with Ansarov and Jessica Ai, and they both won, I think for like $20, you get like 1,000. Not that I'm not trying to encourage you to bet. You know, I'm not.
It sounds like you are. It sounds nice at this point.
I hear you. No, believe me, you don't want to. You know, look out for your money. It's important. You work hard for it. So I'm not encouraging anyone to do that. But man, yeah, I just think those are big overlays, and both of those women, Jessica Ai and Nina Ansarov, have a chance. How about Joanne Calderwood and Caitlin Chukagian?
I've met and talked to Joanne Calderwood and her team. I really like their team and John and all them. I think they're great people, and so I think I would be a little bit biased, as far as that goes, because I don't know too much about her opponent.
Right. Understood.
And I'm sorry for sounding a little ignorant towards that, but I mean, maybe I've most likely seen her. Just the name doesn't really ring a bell. I don't know.
Understandable.
But Joanne Calderwood, I mean, man, that's a one tough girl, and she's got a cool little accent. They're cool people. I like them.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that she's got her wrestling, because she was, when she started, she was really a striker. When she was in the Ultimate Fighter like 6 years ago, right? Having that Muay Thai background. But yeah, her last fight, I forget who it was against, but she came in there and just out-wrestled the girl every round. And really impressive. So yeah, I like her. That's going to be a great fight, though, because Caitlin Chukagian, I think, trains over there with Sijara Eubanks and Mark Henry. And I believe those guys in Jersey. And so she's tough. She was the one that fought Jessica Ai last. I actually felt that she edged Jessica Ai in that fight, but they gave it to Jessica Ai. So she's tough. Look out for that fight, though. And then, let me see. I think that's all the women. So how about the two main events real quick? Tony Ferguson, El Kukui, the boogeyman, coming back against Donald Cerrone. How sick is that fight?
That's crazy. That is going to be literally, no pun intended, insane.
Yeah. They're going to beat the crap out of each other, aren't they?
Yeah, I really think so. Yeah, and Cowboys know one to mess around with. So.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. Are you on the fence like most of the rest of us are on that, or do you think you have a feeling who might come out with the victory there?
I think Cowboys just has the grit and the experience. He's just been in the game for so long. He can literally just outgrind someone for five minutes straight.
Yeah.
5 rounds straight, right? I mean, he doesn't give a crap about anything.
It's true. The winner there should get, though, either Khabib or like the winner of Khabib versus Poirier, or if Conor McGregor comes back. But the winner of that fight should have a lot in store for them. And so I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on both of them in that fight, because what comes after that is so huge. So I think they're both going to really put it out there. I'm a believer in Tony Ferguson. I like Cowboy, but I think Ferguson has his number here. He just seems to be so tough. Although if you take a year off and an injury from a fighter who may have had an edge, right, he may no longer have that edge. You know.
I think he was off for a year when he fought Pettis.
That's right. So he's only fought like once in like 2.5 years.
It's obvious that he can take a year off and still be just as crazy and as much of a psychopath in the cage.
Yes, I get your point. I still remember when he got Edson Barbosa in that Darce choke in a pool of blood. Mm-hmm. How do you? I mean, you're a jiu-jitsu person. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. In a pool of blood where it's not slippery enough to be able to slap out a Darce choke, absolutely crazy, man. The guy's
insane. Yeah. Especially Nogi, when everyone starts to get real sweaty and it's all slippery. It is really hard to get things like that.
Yeah, without a doubt. So big props to Tony Ferguson. El Kukui is going to make it a hell of a fight with Donald Cerrone. Main event, any opinion? I'm sure you do, but Henry Cejudo coming up in weight. He was short at 125, but his skill was unquestionable. At 135, he's going to be giving away like maybe 4 inches of height to the very, very intimidating and tough Marlon Moraes. Any thought on that fight?
I've always been a fan of Henry, and that dude works his ass off. I mean, I really don't think it's gonna matter too much. I'm sure he's used to working with people who are always bigger than him. So. And that goes for a lot of the smaller guys. Like, they usually end up being a lot tougher because they're always going against bigger people, stronger people. And Henry's just the type of guy that has a lot of faith in himself and his team, and I like his whole demeanor. So I really don't think that's going to be a problem for him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight, too. I think he can do it as well. Both myself and my co-host, Dr. Adam Rorta, have Cejudo picked slight dog in that fight, but it's going to be a great fight. The winner will be the new champion as they're fighting for the title vacated by TJ Dillashaw. So this will be yet another champ or double champ if Henry Cejudo wins it, and so that would be something to see. Well, I really appreciate it, Macy. In the last minute we have you, if there's anything you want to throw out there at all, or if you want to thank any of your sponsors or tell people how we can support you in social media, I'd love to have you throw that out there so we can do just that.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Instagram at MMA_NOLA. That's MMA_NOLA. And then you can find me on Twitter at Macy_Chasson. And I just want to give a shout out to all my Fortis peeps. My two guys that are fighting on Tuesday night contender series, Miles Johns or Ramiz. Damon Jackson, he just had a fight on PFL, and I know he's got another one coming up in I think about a month. Alonzo, he's got a fight coming up. Stephen Ocho Peterson. Just all my guys at Fortis, and and Bea Malecki on her fight this weekend. Just everyone who's continuously gone through the fire in the ring to help me get ready for fights, and I just want to put my blessing out there to those guys and show them some love. So.
Absolutely. I'm sure they appreciate that, and everyone remember those names. Those are good people. Macy Chasson, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, and stay in touch. Let me know when you have anything signed, and we'd always love to have you back to talk again.
Oh, you'll hear about it. Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome. You have a great night.
All right, you too. Thanks.
You. You're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye. And that was Macy Chasson. Always great to talk to her, Dr. Adam Rorta. She has so many great partners and teammates over there, and what a supportive, nice person she is, huh?
Absolutely. I always love having her on. And how many?
Maybe fourth time. I think this might be the fourth time.
I think last time was the fourth time.
It may have been. You're right. She's been...
I think we accidentally turned around and had a situation of 5 times because of
possibly so. We're very, very grateful for it, though. And
she's great.
She is. She's awesome, and I think she's a future champion, and I know you do too. And really, really good person like Macy Chasson. So I know you are working on it as quickly as possible, getting the next people, but I know it does take a couple minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
And they're both going to be on at the same time, correct?
Yes, they are.
So that makes the title...
There we go, the title bar. So anyway, Dr. Adam Rorta is doing his magic. Yeah, look out for Bea Malecki. I mean, it sounds like she really feels that Bea has improved her skills by leaps and bounds over the last couple of months, and she was already a badass anyway. So that's something that I think we'll see Bea Malecki make a statement tomorrow. I hope so too. And but yeah, so she's an inch taller than Macy. I was going to ask her. I think I thought they were listed both as the same, but you're right. Bea's listed as 6 feet, or you're right. I guess Macy's right. 1 inch taller than Macy is Bea Malecki, and so looking forward to that great fight against Cowboy Xenia Eduarda Santos, I think it is, or Santana, that is. Speaking about Santos, absolutely excited for July 6th with the man himself, Maheta Thiago Santos, going up against John Jones. I actually think this man has possibly the best chance since Daniel Cormier of beating John Jones. Will he? It's hard to say. But man, is that a tough guy. Thiago Santos with a big sledgehammer on his chest, and sledgehammer in both fists, the capoeira style, the BJJ, great takedown defense. I think his wrestling is at least pretty good. Dangerous dude. Going to be really excited. And Ben Askren against Jorge Masvidal. Interesting, too, that Masvidal either is about to or already has competed in a jiu-jitsu match before that fight against Anthony Pettis. Interesting thing, you know what I wonder is that both of them are signed with the UFC. If either of them injures each other, it would be really, really bad. So obviously you do your best in a jiu-jitsu tournament, but I really would have a feeling that no one's going to be torquing anyone's arm really badly or putting anyone in a really, really bad choke. I don't think either of them want to damage each other and mess up their next UFC fight. Not that it's not going to be competitive, but I would sure hope maybe they would be smart enough to realize if you hurt each other in a jiu-jitsu grappling match before UFC fight, Uncle Dana would be really, really pissed. Right, Doc?
Right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Dana being
imagine,
whatever.
And it's kind of weird how he even allowed that. Can you imagine they went to Dana and said, why don't we have a jiu-jitsu matchup 3 weeks before Jorge Masvidal is to fight Ben Askren? I'm shocked that Dana White said, yeah, that sounds good.
I don't know. I doubt he did, but
right,
there's somebody somewhere.
Someone
saying,
worked it. Someone worked it.
You better do this, Dana.
Yeah,
this will help you out with this number and this number.
You wonder if he went to both Pettis and Masvidal and said, don't even do anything to injure each other, no matter what. If you get someone in an armbar, just freaking the other guy, you better tap right away. No one needs to be injured at all in this jiu-jitsu match.
Right.
Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'm full of crap.
So, are we ready to jump on into our next guest?
Yes,
okay,
we are.
I'll give them a call then real quick.
All right, let's do it. Hey, Chris and Lucas, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
There they are, Chris Brennan and Lucas Brennan. Let me give them a proper intro. Ladies and gentlemen, so happy to have these guys back on the show. Chris Brennan, one of the most awesome fighters back in the day in the UFC and some of the most exciting fights. Also, numerous time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion and just an amazing Jiu-Jitsu teacher and MMA fighter. He is the father in this picture. The son is Lucas Brennan, I believe, who is 3-0 in MMA, an amazing jits guy, an amazing wrestler, and possibly a future world champion. Please welcome back to the show, Chris, the West Side Strangler Brennan, and his son, Lucas.
Does that work like that?
Yep. You guys are coming back. Yep, that is you guys. And thank you both for coming on. We see you both. You won't be able to see us, but we see you both as long as you're in the frame, or we're seeing more Chris than Lucas. But let's ask what's going on here. Well, the last time we talked to you guys, I think was about maybe 16 or 18 months ago, and I think Lucas was 17 then or something, wasn't he?
He was 7. Had he had his first fight, or he had not had it yet?
I think not yet. I think it was just coming up. And so so he's had 3, and that's 3 amateur fights, or did he go pro already?
2-0. He fights this coming up a week from this Friday at Tough Enough in Vegas.
Excellent. And
then the goal from that point is what is it? Go ahead.
Trying to get into Bellator July 12th. Trying to finalize things with that.
Nice. So the Tough Enough is pro, is it, or amateur?
No, it's his last amateur. It'll be his third amateur fight.
That makes sense. That sounds good. And then looking right to Bellator, and then it sounds like you've got some connections there. So, Lucas, how do you feel in the last year and a half? I imagine your knowledge of training for MMA and fighting MMA has increased tremendously during that time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my last fight was a year ago as of a couple days ago, and spent the majority of that time wrestling in college. Got my black belt back in December, early December. And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of things have changed since the last fight. I've gotten a lot better all around.
That's awesome. Okay. Now, I know it might be difficult, but we only have kind of half of both of your faces in the frame. I don't know how much closer you can sit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is better. There we go. That's a bit better. Yeah. Okay, so this is amazing. So you got, yeah, exactly. Hey, you got your black belt from your dad. How much after your 18th birthday was that?
It was about 6 months. About 6 months after I turned 19, 4 days before my next fight here in a couple days.
Nice. And was that deliberate, Chris? Was there any chance you were going to give this young man a black belt before 18, or anyone a black belt before 18, or not?
It had nothing to do with his age, to be honest. And I don't go by the IBJJF. You can't have it till you're 19.
Okay.
Since he started, he got his yellow belt in less than a year. And then basically in December every year, he had orange, green, blue, purple, brown, and black.
Nice.
So every year he got promoted to the next belt. As a blue belt, the day he got his purple belt, he beat a guy, Guilherme's a 7-time Brazilian national champion.
Wow.
He beat him as a blue. Like he'd been beating black belts for pretty good amount of time.
That's amazing. And now you also wrestled all 4 years in high school, Lucas, or not?
Yes, yeah, all 4 years of high school, and then I wrestled the first half of this last college season.
Yeah,
Wow.
He's ranked number 7 in the nation this year in NCAA.
That's fantastic, and that's something that I'm sure you know, Chris, even better than me, is you can count the top MMA fighters that are really good wrestlers that have really good jits probably on one hand. And that's one thing that I think, right, we both know. Why aren't people seeing that? Why aren't people saying we got to get our young guys to be good at both wrestling and jiu-jitsu? And so I'm really excited for Lucas's prospect because it still seems like a lot of fighters are not good at both. And I have a feeling both of them, really for you, Lucas, are pretty much like, you know them like the back of your hand, your wrestling and your jits, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
To be honest, I compare him, and obviously I don't think he's as good at jiu-jitsu yet, but stylistically and what I think he is Damian Maia with better wrestling.
Right.
He has his jiu-jitsu. He's going to be the guy in the UFC. The best guys in the UFC jiu-jitsu-wise are Damian, Jacare, Donald Cerrone.
Right.
Phenomenal jiu-jitsu.
Fabricio Verdum.
But the top-level guys, he'll be that guy.
Yeah.
He'll be that top-level guy, not someone who's learning jiu-jitsu as he goes through the UFC,
right?
But someone who's people are going to fight for their lives to not go to the ground with.
Absolutely. And people that I can, also have in mind there was like a Jake Shields as well. And that was really amazing, right? Now,
Jim Miller, my favorite is Joe Lozon. Those guys have real good jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the majority of them use their striking until they're hurt, and then they try to use their jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And
yeah, that's not what your strategy is going to be. But let me ask you, obviously the striking would be nice as well. And I don't want to give away too many secrets, right? Obviously, you're not telling Lucas to forget striking completely. But are you making that a huge priority for him to try to be what's considered a very good striker? Or is it okay if his striking is kind of like Jake Shields and Damian Maia's?
I would try and be polite.
Yes.
I would hope that it's better than Jake's.
Okay.
Damian's different, man. Some days he can strike, some days he can wrestle. So it's hard to say. We're definitely working on striking. He strikes every day, does boxing every day, and works Muay Thai and stuff. But the goal, it's no secret. He's going to punch you in the face, and then he's going to take you down.
Yeah.
He's going to kick you in the face, he's going to take you down. If he hurts you on the feet, he's still going to take you down. Like we're not going out there to look to highlight reel someone with a knockout. Maybe down the line, when someone really wants to go to the ground with him and they're working on taking him down, he can bang and whatever. But the goal is to be good where you're at, fight where you're good, right?
Yeah.
Like in my career, I have 21 wins and 19 of them are by submission. So clearly I did that.
Yes.
I had one knockout, one decision, and the rest were all submissions. So that's the goal, is just, try and fight smart, take as little damage as possible, and they can keep their bonus money.
I like that. I like that a lot. It makes sense. What has gone on with your weight, Lucas, since a year and a half ago? I bet it's not exactly the same as it was, or is it? No, definitely not, right?
My first 2 fights were at 35. Definitely, probably it'd be a long cut if I wanted to do 35 again. This next one's gonna be at 45, and I plan on kind of being there from here on out. And I was wrestling this last season at 149, the college weight class. But yeah, I was walking around in the summer, and then while I was kind of hurt for a little while, I was walking around like 170, 175.
Nice.
Much heavier than 135.
Nice.
So
Yep.
yeah, the plan is to be 45. I get pretty thin once I'm there, so that's kind of where I'm pushing my limits to.
I like that. That makes sense. And so this next fight, go ahead and shout out again where and when this is going to be so people can support you.
It'll be June 7th. It's tough enough. It's out Henderson, right?
Green Valley.
Yeah, it's like Green Valley Resort, Henderson. Tough enough. But yeah, I'll be the co-main that night, June 7th.
Nice. And that's Henderson, Nevada, is it?
Yes, yeah, Henderson.
Nice. You guys are coming out from Texas. Now, it's not like going to a different country, but it's going to be a different time zone by 2 hours. Do you have really strict thinking as far as that goes, Chris? Like you want to get him out there 3 days before or a week before? Does it not really matter?
Fortunately, I have a condo there. We're going out on Sunday, so we'll be there 5, 6, 7 days, 6 days early.
Beautiful.
And we are going to do some later in the evening stuff because that would be, co-main. He'll probably go on at 9 o'clock, which would be 11 o'clock here. That's typically when he's getting in bed. So we will actually the rest of this week here and going on to next week adjust that a bit and kind of try and stretch out our training to get it a little bit later in the evening for that to happen. But, fight game is fight game. You're going to get there and sit around for 5 hours anyway.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. So after this fight, you're talking about Bellator. Hopefully that comes through. I would think they would definitely like a prospect like Lucas there. How many months in between this next fight, assuming he doesn't take much damage? And I know you can never assume that, but obviously that's the game plan. And with his skills, I think that's a reality. What would you think? 3 months after that? 4 months after that? Any preference?
No, it's 5 weeks. It's July 12th. Weeks.
Oh, you mean it's already
called him?
Oh, it's already set.
They called him. We just haven't. We didn't finalize anything yet because in the midst of all of it, they realized that they needed to fight a bunch of their contracted fighters, and so they're bumping fights off of the card. I'm working right now to make sure that this is not bumped off the card, especially because it's local. It's here where we could put 100 people there easy. So yeah, it's July 12th. It's 5 weeks after this fight. We're just going to have one cheat day the day after the fight and roll right back into camp.
Nice. That's awesome. And where would that event be in Bellator on July 12th?
At Windstar. It's about an hour north of us, 45 minutes to an hour north of us.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Windstar Casino in Oklahoma.
And where is that again? It's in Oklahoma, and you guys are like, what, an hour drive because you're in Texas, right?
Yeah, it's a little less than an hour from here.
Nice. That's beautiful. That would be exciting, man. How do you feel about that, Lucas? And if you want to give your opinion on this, Chris, as well, I'm sure having your dad be able to tell you about fighting with the bright lights and everything, it gives you some insight. But what do you feel about people talking about this adrenaline dump? And even if your fight isn't televised, you're fighting in front of 5 times as many people. Has your dad given you any advice on that? Did that take a while for you to get used to, Chris? And what do you tell Lucas about that? And does that seem to be anything that even needs to be focused on? Is it a real thing, or is it something that you just try to say to yourself, this is just like if I was fighting at the dojo, at the school?
I don't have much of a dump afterwards. After tournaments or after fighting, I don't have too much of an adrenaline dump. Really, if I did, I don't even realize it because I'm downing like a dozen donuts after a fight, so
right.
I'm way too busy in that direction. I'm much probably nervous beforehand, but even as soon as it starts, I'm not even worried about it anymore. I have full-on conversations in between rounds. I'm totally chilled out in the middle and after. Beforehand, I'm probably more of a mess than I am after.
Right.
Honestly.
And that's what I was kind of meaning, Luke. That's what I was kind of meaning, Lucas. Bellator is a big promotion. Would you have any extra nerves, do you think, fighting in Bellator before the fight?
I don't think so. I don't, as of right now, I don't have too many issues mentally leading up to it. If it does get finalized, maybe it becomes a whole thing, maybe getting closer, maybe I will. But as of right now, I'm pretty hyped about it.
Right. And exactly. And I'm not trying to good. And I'm not trying to make you think of anything negative. But Chris, what can you tell him, having fought under the bright lights many times?
So here's the thing. Here's the thing with Lucas, and it's very different than I was, and very different than a lot of other guys that came up fighting or fought a lot before getting into MMA. He sat down after the first round of this fight, and he sat down on the corner bench, and he said, "He goes, I don't remember getting hit in the eye, but I can see it out of the corner of my eye," and just kind of bouncing like this, talking to me. And then I put a quarter piece. I'm going to give away a really old time secret of mine.
Right.
I put a quarter piece of Starburst in each side of my mouthpiece, so when I bite it in, my mouth salivates for the whole fight.
Nice.
Instead of getting dry.
I love that.
Between the second and the third round, he sits down and he says, "Man, that Starburst in the mouthpiece thing is awesome." He's just talking to me like I'm like, "Bro, you're fighting a 28-year-old dude out there with a wife and kid here, you know, and you have 100 people in the crowd," but it didn't faze him because he is great at the sport of it. You know, he's just very good at the sport of it. And I was 10 times more intense because I was trying to kill somebody. Right?
Yeah.
Like I used my jiu-jitsu, but I had, I came up very different. So it was just a different thing. But I can tell you in 36 pro fights, I never once was as comfortable and chill as he was in his first 2 fights.
That's cool. And having you there, I'm sure, is huge as well. Are you, obviously, you're his chief second pretty much, or do you have someone else who is always in there helping him as well?
Fat, one of my other, he's one of my black belts. He is his striking coach and kind of puts together the game with us. He's awesome. He will be there, but I'm obviously the main corner man. He, trying to talk to him about maybe fighting in Pride, or fighting the UFC. UFC, it's mayhem. There's 20,000 people. It's crazy. Pride, there's 75,000 people and it's quiet, right? Yeah. So it's very different. But I always, the crowd's not that. I kind of try and feed off the crowd. I kind of try and I told him that just kind of believe that everyone there is for you. They all came there for you, and you're, he's not cocky, but inside your head that at that moment, go ahead and let's feel like you're just, kind of like Conor feels like. You can't convince Conor that someone can beat him, even if you're asking him about Cain Velasquez, right? Like everyone, and it's all a mental game at that point in time. So not mental like getting the other guy's head, but just to try and stay confident and believe in yourself and what your preparation was like.
Absolutely. And speaking of Conor, he did get some good training with you. And actually, Conor looked really impressive with his grappling in that fight with Khabib. Had he trained a little bit with you before that?
Not for the Khabib fight, but we did get a lot of good work in before the second Nate fight.
Right.
And, they didn't go to the ground a lot, but they did. So it was a 20-second period in that fight that took place that was identical, exactly what we went over, and it worked to a T. So I was really pumped about that. It was kind of worth all the time that I'd spent with him that day and whatnot. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, his jiu-jitsu, man. Everyone hates on him because whatever, but his jiu-jitsu is good. And although he lost to Khabib, he looked damn good on the ground against him, and no one gave him credit for that.
Right, and it's true. I was just going to say that for all the people that give Khabib a really huge amount of credit for doing really well on the striking, they forgot to see that Conor did way better in the grappling than people thought he was going to do. So absolutely, I'm someone, and I've been a fan of MMA since the first event that I bought on pay-per-view in 1993, and without a doubt, there's no denying that Conor looked like he had some ground in that fight with Khabib, despite losing in the fourth. But he was holding his own. Well, I tell you what, I know you guys got to get back to some rest and/or some training. No, not more training. You're done with the training, but get some rest for Lucas. But in the last minute that I have you guys, if you want to shout out again, let everyone know that there is the final amateur fight coming up at Tough Enough for Lucas Brennan, and then it looks almost without a doubt, barring any scheduling changes, that he is also set for a fight in Bellator. Why don't you guys shout out the dates again and shout out the best way that people can hit Lucas up and support him on social media, and yourself as well, Chris?
Fight's June 7th. It's out at Green Valley Resort out in Henderson, Nevada. And then I'll be co-main, so I'll probably be pretty late that night. Streaming it, I don't even. It's on their website, I think.
Yeah, it's on Tough Enough's website live. You can watch it. It's actually really clear. It's a good version of it.
Awesome. Co-main event in his final amateur fight, Tough Enough. And then, if all continues as scheduled, July 13th, Bellator at WinStar Casino in, where is that, Tulsa, Oklahoma, or where?
July 12th. Not told. Where is Windstar?
It's called Thackerville. It's 5 minutes on the other side of the border.
Awesome.
Just above Texas.
Awesome. And what are good social media places for people to hit you up, Lucas, and you as well, Chris?
I'm on everything. Usernames. My Instagram username is my first name is just Luke_Brennan, and I have an _FTX for Frisco, Texas. It's kind of long. And then Snapchat and Twitter, I am just Skywalker630.
Nice.
And then Facebook, obviously, it's just me.
Nice.
So.
And you're going to be 19 next month?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be 19 here in a couple of days.
Awesome.
Today's the 23rd.
The 3rd.
Yeah,
amazing.
3rd.
Early happy birthday. And Chris Brennan, how can people get in contact with you?
For me, it's easy. You just look my name up and it comes up. But you can on Instagram, it's Chris_Brennan_ 3-time champ. And then Chris Brennan on Facebook. Those are the two things that I use most.
Excellent.
Easiest to read.
Excellent. And you own Next Generation Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What do you have, 9 schools now or 10?
12.
Wow.
Yeah, there's 12 now. Yeah, we've got a couple of new schools. One of my old black belts from California is now Next Generation, Russ Mira. He's a stud. And then what are the new ones since last? So there's one in Anna, Texas, one in Dallas, and then California, Colorado. That's a new one. 2 in Norway, 2 in Ireland, 2 in England, 1 in Australia, and 1 in Athens, Greece.
Awesome. Well, you guys that are in any of those countries or any of those states want to check it out. If you want to YouTube some amazing jiu-jitsu where people are saying, holy crap, is that slick shit? That's Chris Brennan's jiu-jitsu, all right? So Next Generation, you want to get your jiu-jitsu pretty much at the highest level it can be, check out Next Generation Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Chris Brennan takes it very seriously, and these schools are awesome. I want to thank both of you so much. Chris Brennan, the father first, out of respect, awesome MMA fighting legend, and thank you so much for jumping on. Lucas Brennan, I think one day to be a champion and a legend yourself, man. Keep up the great work. You've got an amazing father. Listen to him and do what he says is my advice. And we'll be cheering for you, man. Can't wait to see you pick up the W at Toughen Up and then in Bellator July 12th.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Have a great night, gentlemen. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. And that was Chris and Lucas Brennan. Dr. Adam Rorta, in the last minute we have. Man, like Dr. Adam Rorta, you know, wrestling and jiu-jitsu is rarely seen where the same person is good at both of them.
Not at this level
Right.
that Chris has been preparing Lucas for.
Yeah.
It's just very, very rare, very odd to see it, actually. And I'm excited to see him come up in the pro world, just as you stated.
Yeah.
I'm going to be watching him very closely, with this, starting with his fight over there at Bellator, and just watch his career go.
Absolutely, and he's a lanky guy, kind of like yourself. I think he's about 5'11" or 6 feet tall, because he's about 3 inches taller than his dad, who's about 5'8", 5'8.5", so he's about 5'11" or 6 feet. He walks around, I guess, out of shape 170, but in shape in the 160s, so he'll be fighting at 145. That's a really good frame for a 145er with that wrestling and with that jits, and they're taking their striking seriously. Really love it. Good kid, great dad, and the Brennans are here to make a statement. Look out for Lucas Brennan. I think he will be doing some really serious annihilating of opponents.
Absolutely. So we've got a couple minutes left. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's tuning in right now, either on Fight TV or on Facebook. The only 2 places we're available online. Really appreciate it. Make sure to give us a like, a comment, and a share if you could, to help get the word out on this show. We get locked up a lot of the times when we try to do self-promotion and marketing. Unfortunately, Facebook doesn't like us sharing too much, even though everybody wants our content. It's really difficult to get the word out sometimes without your guys' help. This is one of those weeks we could really use your help. Just click share real quick. Share it to a group. If you're a part of a mixed martial arts group, make sure to share it in one of those groups. Any other group where you could find this relative. the group, go ahead and give it a share. Want to say thank you to Warfighter Hemp, awesome CBD products. Go to warfighterhemp.com. Want to say thank you to our people over at Combat Press. Go to combatpress.com, where every fight has a story. They are my go-to source for all things combat sports related when it comes to news. Also, a huge thank you to crosstrainmmafighter.com. I'm going to stand up so you guys can kind of see this. You can get yourself an awesome t-shirt just by going over to crosstrainmmafighter.com or sending Colin a message directly. He can help you out with that. And then also, of course, the company that I've been working with and came in as a silent partner on with DigiSouth. Go to digisouth.co for any of your social media marketing needs.
That is correct, Dr. Adam Rorta, and thank you for that contribution. Next week, we have the head coach of Macy Chesson and all these other great people at Fortis MMA in Texas. That is Saif Saud. We are super excited to have Saif on and see what amazing things he's doing to create such a powerful team in such a short time. Not overnight, because obviously he's put in a lot of time at it, but man, Team Fortis has come out of nowhere and they are killing it. A bunch of killers, super talented people there. Alonzo Manyfield, Jeff Neal, Macy Chesson, Bea Malecki, a lot of other people that Macy mentioned are there. So we look forward to that. We're talking to Felicia Spencer, and we are hoping that next week will work for her. So can't guarantee it because she is super busy off of that amazing win over Megan Anderson. Super impressed, but let's see if we can make that happen. Love to talk to Felicia. I've been a big fan of hers for a while. So that's about it for Dr. Adam Rorta and our crew, Moo, everyone else here. I want you to spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy, be that girl. Love your pets, your parents, your kids, your neighbors, even your coworkers. Tell someone you got their back. It may save their life, all right? And be a good person. It'll come back to you tenfold. For the entire team here, I'm Colin Crandall for the MMA Power Hour, and I'm tapping out.